Guys, anyone coming after this, you gotta bribe me at the beginning. This is so cool.
That's not a light question.
Yeah, everybody wants it, but not everybody is willing to pay the price.
To do it. Exactly.
To get what you want. It's like everybody loves the miracle, but no one wants to go through the hardships that require a miracle.
I'm 31 and I decided to resign and do that and move out of the country. So I moved out of the country, and 4 weeks later, on the first day of my honeymoon, my husband said he wanted a divorce, just like out of nowhere.
CEO InMotion. CEO InMotion. CEO InMotion. CEO InMotion.
All right.
This is cool. Oh yeah, hi, I can see myself.
Here we go.
This is for you.
Oh, I already got gifts.
Yeah, I know, you got some swag.
Oh, this is very nice. Let's see, we got some light.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
this
there
is for
you
you.
go.
This is my best-selling book. Present for you, and then our journal that's just about like keeping track and like helping your performance and all that good stuff.
Oh, this is really cool. You know, you're already at the top of all my guests.
Yeah.
Guys, anyone coming after this, you gotta bribe me at the beginning. This is so cool.
Thanks.
Very, very cool. So,
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for the coffee too.
There you go. Skinny latte.
Yeah.
Wow, Nada, this is such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
I want to put these back here.
Yeah, it's
So
fine.
we are with a best-selling author. Not once, but twice TEDx speaker.
Thank you.
And I'm really excited. Founder of Rise Up For You.
Thank you, yeah.
And let's get into it. There's so many things that I want to talk to you about.
Okay.
So quick things. The camera will turn off, but it's still going.
Okay, cool.
I can move this from you. You can always look at yourself there.
Do you want to leave this open or can I shut it?
You can close it.
Okay,
Have you been in a Tesla?
A couple times, but they're so complex to me.
To me, they're simple because there's no buttons. But anyways, like, we'll go. This is always gonna be going. If you want to see, just tap in the back.
Okay, cool.
And then your picture will pop up.
Awesome, perfect.
And we're just gonna be driving up and down the strip.
Let's do it.
Talking business, talking life. I'm super excited.
Best city in the world.
Weather, yes, I do like it a lot. You know, Disneyland for adults. Come on.
I know.
So, let's start with something light.
Okay.
Where do you derive your drive for success?
Where do I find it?
Yep.
That's not a light question.
I did that totally on purpose. Totally on purpose.
Okay. Well, I've always been really hungry, I would say, my whole life, even when I was a kid, meaning I've always been really driven, just period. So it's interesting because when I started my business 5 years ago, people started to say to me like, oh, you're so career driven. And I used to say, no, it's not only career, I'm just driven. Like even when I was in high school, I was varsity cheer captain, I was president of all 3 choirs, I got over a 4.0 GPA, I was in student council, like I was doing all of that stuff, and I like never partied, I never drank, and I was just like super high, like performing as a student.
Overachiever, yes.
And I think it's just because ever since I was younger, maybe I just had a different appreciation of life. My dad came from a third world country. Actually, we're Lebanese, so both of my parents are Lebanese. My brothers and I are obviously Lebanese. And my dad came here with $20. So he just every day grinded out trying to provide for his family. And they were just really humble people. And so I think there was always just this mindset of like, just always put your best foot forward. And if I came home, for example, with an A-, my dad was like, what is this?
What happened? Yeah, I had similar. So you're first generation here.
First generation,
It
yeah.
sounds like it was because of your parents. They planted the seed of overachieving. Because listen, most parents, you get an A-, they're clapping their kids. They're like, yeah, we'll give you a new iPad for you.
Yeah,
you know?
My dad was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah. What happened here?
What is this A-?
And so people misconstrue that perhaps as like being a hard ass or too hard, but it really is how you get pushed to excellence.
Yeah, and I also think it depends on how the parent presents it. Like my dad was tough, but he would always follow it with the question of, could you get the A+? And it's like, well, yeah, okay, well, if you can do it, why didn't you do it? Like, why did you sell yourself short?
I love that.
Yeah, so we've just, I've always been that way, whether it came to my mind, my body, what I was doing. I always wanted to put my best foot forward because why not? I guess the question was always, well, why not?
Do you feel that some people have their bar at a different level? Like some people are just comfortable and they don't want to step out of that comfort zone.
For sure, 100%. Actually, most people function in that space, and I always say,
why?
Because it doesn't cause disruption. And I think that. Okay, so I'm going to get a little academic. Our company, and we'll talk about it later, but one of the things that we do is we work with professionals around the world and we collect a lot of data.
Okay.
So we're always asking professionals and leaders in the workspace and entrepreneurs like what their number one challenge is. 83% of professionals say self-confidence. So like think about that for a second. Yeah, 83%. So 83% of individuals are walking around feeling like they're not enough, or they people please, or they have a perfectionist mindset, or they have a bunch of negative thoughts in their head that cripple them from taking action. And when you look at like the research and the data, most of the time it's because people want to belong, they don't want to feel rejected, and they have a fear of failure, right? Like that's at the core of it. So when it comes to pushing your potential, the reality is for you to get to that next level of growth, you have to create discomfort and you have to create disruption in your life. Like, this better than anyone, like if you want to get to that next level, you have to take some risk and you have to be willing to bet on yourself and you have to be willing to lose it all. And most people are just scared of failure in general, and that's not something that they're willing to do, but they want it. And that's why there's so many people, unfortunately, especially in North America, that are unhappy or they're not fulfilled because they know what they want, but to actually take the action to do it, they really have to convince themselves to take that risk. And it's just not easy for people.
Yeah, everybody wants it, but not everybody is willing to pay the price.
Exactly.
To get what you want. It's like everybody loves the miracle, but no one wants to go through the hardships that require a miracle.
Exactly, to get to the miracle, 100%. And it's like you have to be willing to like eat top ramen and put
it on the line.
Yeah, put everything on the line. You have to be willing to do that.
So in your company, do you work with a lot of professionals? Like, walk me through, how you started building this company and the main goal of Rise Up For You.
Yeah. So you want me to take you back to how it started?
Yeah.
Or okay. So.
We got an hour?
Yeah, we got plenty of time.
Just getting started.
I know. So I actually, my first career, I was a performer. I used to tour internationally around the world and do like musical theater.
Oh, that's cool. So you sing?
I sing and I dance, but my main craft is singing. Wow. So my college, when I went to college, I got a degree in vocal and stage performance. Like that was my thing that I mastered.
Wow.
And so I toured the world for a long time and I did that. And I realized that I always thought I wanted to be like this famous celebrity singer. But when I was going on tour, I realized that the reason why I liked singing is because it created some kind of empowerment and connection with the audience. And it led me to like empowerment and education. So after I went on tour, I transitioned basically to education. And I became an executive for an education corporation. So I was 27 and I had like 200 people under my leadership, and I was like working with them, and teaching them and that kind of stuff.
But that's a big change, like going from musical to education to being so young. I mean, at 27, most people can't figure out what they're gonna do, and you have 200 people underneath you.
Yeah. It was. I mean, I got my butt kicked because I had a lot of ego when I was younger. I mean, I still have ego today, but it's just different today. When I was younger, I was more of a bull. Again, because I was driven and I didn't have empathy though. So,
which we'll get to, emotional intelligence.
Yeah, exactly. Because, like you have people that are really driven and hungry and they expect everyone to be the same way. And that's how I was. And I had to learn that, no, everybody comes from a different journey and a different background. And it's not an excuse, but you can't force people to elevate themselves. You know, you can only try to empower them, but at the end of the day, like that's what all you can do.
Yeah, you can't force people. Dale Carnegie talks about a person convinced against his will is of the same opinion still.
Exactly.
You can't push people to move around. Like as much as You can talk to them about the benefits. If they don't want to do it, it's not happening.
Yeah, exactly. So I became an executive, and I was 27, as I mentioned, and I did that for about 4.5, 5 years. And then I decided to resign from the company.
Okay.
And I went after an opportunity called marriage. So I resigned from the company and I sold all my stuff. I had a house on the lake, a luxury car, all this stuff, and I moved out of the country to get married.
You got young success, like
yeah,
27.
I was like 30, 31 when I made that 31 when I made that transition.
Hold on. I'm gonna turn this on a little.
Okay, cool.
See if you can. Does that bother you?
Oh no, it doesn't bother me. No, hi. Okay. So I'm 31 and I decided to resign and do that and move out of the country. So I moved out of the country, and 4 weeks later, on the first day of my honeymoon, my husband said he wanted a divorce, just like out of nowhere. I know, huh? I know.
Wait, I've seen this movie. Hold on. Is this serious? This like on the first date?
Yeah.
That's like Along Came Polly.
Did you ever see that movie? I thought it was a joke.
Oh my god.
He
didn't go scuba diving.
I literally thought it was a joke. I was shocked. And so I lost everything like overnight. So I didn't have a job because I replaced myself before I left. I hired somebody new. I didn't have a house. I only had 2 luggage worth of clothing. And I only had $100 in the bank account.
Oh my god, this is crazy.
Yeah. So I get back on the plane to California, because I lived in California at the time, and I was bawling and I was crying and I was super embarrassed because I didn't even tell my mom. I was just embarrassed. I was shocked. So I get back on the plane, and my dad came to me in my dream. My dad died when I was 27. So my dad died right before I became an executive. So my dad only ever saw me as a performer. Like he didn't see me like go into that next stage in my life.
The next chapter, okay.
Yeah, so he came to me in my dream and he said, Netta, everything you need is already inside of you. You just have to rise up for you.
Oh,
so
that was one of my questions. Yeah, where did the name come from?
So that's where the name came from. So I came back to California. I've never been an entrepreneur. I don't know anything about building a business. It's like never been in my wheelhouse. And I just came back and I just said, oh, okay, you know what? I'm just going to try to build the business. I don't know anything about it, but I'm going to try.
But you knew the name Rise Up For You?
I knew Rise Up For You. I just like, all I had was the name Rise Up For You.
From a dream from your father who had passed away.
Yes. Like
this is like a movie script.
Yeah, in the lowest moment of my life. So I have no money. I have nothing. I'm like moved back in with my mom. And I just start building Rise Up For You. I just start with the podcast because I don't know anything about business yet. So I defaulted to what I knew, which was education. I'm like, well, I'm good at from performing. I'm good at talking on a mic. I'm good at asking questions, and I love to learn. So I'm gonna do podcasts. So I just started with the podcast, which obviously was free. Like it wasn't monetized. 3 months after I started building the brand, Rise Up For You, and I call it brand because it wasn't yet like a business yet. I wasn't making any money.
Yeah, but in your mind, you already had brand focus.
Exactly. 3 months after I get back and I start building the brand, Rise Up For You, my mother, my second parent, was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer out of nowhere. We've never had cancer ever in our life. We don't even know where it came from. So I was building the company out of a hospital. I took showers at the 24-hour fitness. I would take showers at the gym across the street. I would go back to the hospital. I would open up my laptop. How do you build the business? What do people need in the world? How do you build a website? And I did it all in the darkest moments when my mom was sick.
Anyone who's watching this, get off your ass, get off the couch. There's no excuses.
Yeah.
This is truly amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
Continue. This is awesome.
So 9 months later, my mom died, and I found myself at 31 years old. Completely heartbroken from the divorce, lost everything, and both of my parents had passed away. And I remember like standing in the closet because I'm the only girl in the family. I have 2 brothers, and I inherited all of her stuff, like all of her jewelry and all of her bags and all that stuff she gave to me. And I just remember I like lost my mind. I just broke down crying, and I was like, I don't care about this does not mean anything to me. Like
the material, the Chanel bags, like, the jewelry, the rings.
Exactly. And I just had like this epiphany in the moment, and I was thinking everything that I think is success it's not really It's not really what it's about. And the only question that came to my mind, I didn't question God. I didn't like scream at the top of my lungs at God, why did you do this? I maintained my faith, and I said, the only thing that came to my mind is, what does it mean to build a life that you're proud of, and how do you get there? And that is what really kickstarted the company, in recognizing that every single person goes through a lot of crap in their life. Everyone has trauma. Everyone goes through death. Everyone goes through heartbreak. But why are some people more successful than others?
So this is the core mission of Rise Up For You.
Yes.
Is finding the purpose.
The core mission is to teach people how to be like that top 10%, which is past the technical skill. It's like, why are some people more successful than others? It's not because of the knowledge they have with their degree or their skill. It's because of the soft skills or the people skills. It's their ability to be resilient. It's their self-confidence. It's their ability to build relationships, their ability to influence. That's what we call the soft skills, all the human skills. It's also what drives high-performing teams. It's what drives, the athletes that you see out on the field. They're technically advanced in their sport, but there's also a mind shift. They have a mental performance that other people don't have.
They're so disciplined.
And that's the soft skills. Those are the human skills that like truly make people different. And that's really what started like the true mission of Rise Up For You, which is to elevate companies and individuals through these skills that we often like ignore.
How does someone hone in or polish their soft skills?
It's a whole process. So like my company does coaching and training for individuals and organizations, but it's first identifying like which soft skill you need to work through. You know what I mean? Like, so for me, like if I were to like give you a gamut, let's say self-confidence is a soft skill, emotional awareness is a soft skill, building relationships is a soft skill, public speaking is a soft skill. So I'm just like throwing some stuff out there, right?
Okay.
Like I don't need to work on self-confidence and public speaking.
Because you're comfortable with it.
Yeah, it's my craft. Like I've been doing it for so long. It's not a soft skill that I need to work on. So the first thing is identifying like which soft skills do you need to work on and which ones are sabotaging you, and like trying to solve that as fast as possible. So the one that I have to work on the most is empathy, going back to empathy. Like I lead a team today. I'm really grateful, now in 2024, Rise Up For You is global. So we have clients all over the world, and we also have team members all over North America and in the Middle East. So for me now, I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm also a leader, right? Like I have a team that I have to manage and lead and empower. And so empathy is the soft skill that like my team is like, that was harsh, Netta. So
you're a hard boss.
I have high expectations. And so every 6 months I put out a survey for my team to do, which is scary, but I do. And that's the one that is always like a little more empathy. And it's getting better, but it's still like the lowest. And I'm like, okay, so that's the soft skill that I'm working through.
But some of the leaders that made, most of the biggest differences, like I think of Steve Jobs was not a very well liked person.
Correct.
Elon Musk is not a very well liked boss.
Yeah.
It almost makes him seem look robotic because of perhaps the low empathy, but that also makes him so effective in what they do.
Yeah, and I would say that so there's 4 levels of emotional intelligence. Let's say emotional intelligence is like a major soft skill, right?
Okay.
There's four pillars: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, which is like how you show up with other people, and then relationship management, which is leadership, coaching, building relationships. So I would say that like Steve Jobs and Elon Musk and those people are highly emotionally intelligent and like self-management, let's say. Okay. Meaning they're highly motivated, they're driven, they're agile, they know how to adapt.
They're gonna get it done.
They're growth-minded, yeah. And that's basically what pillar number 2 is all about, right? But they might be lacking a little bit in the social awareness, meaning that like they're not politically correct. They don't give a crap what you say, and they don't feel like they need to be emotionally intelligent in certain moments. You know what I mean?
But sometimes they say something you're like, did he really say that?
Yeah.
Like, did that just come out of his mouth? Or that might be the same with you, where you say something and they're like, that was a little bit harsh.
Yeah, and also like it's challenging to kind of put them in a box as well, because they could very well be highly emotionally intelligent across the board, but they have a brand that they play to, right? Like Elon Musk has a cutting edge brand. His brand is all about like truth and saying what, freedom of speech. And so even if he is highly emotionally intelligent across the board, he's not going to hold back, because that's his brand and that's what he stands for and that's what he advocates for.
Correct. So that has to continue with his identity, with his brand.
Yeah. So yeah, that's, long story short, that's how the company started. And
you went from building a brand. I love that you said building a brand from the beginning, and not like, whoa, I started a little company, and like, no, you already knew where you were heading, and then you went from hospital to a global, brand that has clients all over.
Yeah.
How does that feel? 4 years is not that much. How long have you had it? 5 years? 4 years?
So the brand is 7 years.
Okay.
And then 5 years is like the business. Like I would say the 5 years is when like I started bringing in income.
Well, okay, so your first paid client was not until 2 years after you started?
Yeah, because the first year was like building the brand. My mom was sick, that kind of thing. I didn't really know how I was building the business. Like I was researching, figuring things out, and I was just doing the podcast like to, I guess, get the message out there.
Get the message out.
Yeah, I launched the podcast 6 weeks after I got the divorce.
Wow.
Yeah, like instantly. But
so that was a way of also kind of coping. So business has always been a way for you to kind of relate to other people, to carry the message, to pass on.
Yeah. And then it wasn't until like after that I was like, okay, how do I really monetize this? Do I do coaching? Like what? Again, I didn't know anything about business, so it took me a little bit of to understand like what is my product. Do you see what I mean? So that's why I said like the first 2 years was more of a brand, because I didn't really understand what my actual product was that I could monetize, and then it just hit me, and it just took off. After that.
Do you remember your first hire?
My first client?
No, the first person that you hired in your team.
Oh yeah.
Are they still with you?
Yes, they are. They're my vice president. Isn't that funny?
Oh, that's amazing. Yes,
Isn't that funny?
Super good. I love that, because I was having a conversation today with somebody who's been working with me on and off for like 12 years in different companies. I didn't even have my company 12 years ago. But I was like, oh yeah, you used to do that we worked together. I love people. So where does loyalty take place in the business and leadership, especially in companies that have 30, 50, 100, 250 plus employees? Where does loyalty fall in that?
Yeah, that's such a good question, and that's so hard. I think the smaller you are, the more loyalty you have to have in your company, otherwise you will not grow.
Okay. Because
like right now, I have a team of about 15. I think it might be 16 now, because we just hired someone this week. And
good hire. Maybe they're still on board.
Yeah. And those 16 people are critical for our growth. So like I'm proud of where we've gotten, but as an entrepreneur, you're like, oh my God, we're not even like anywhere near where I want to be.
I want to be at 25. Where's the next?
25,
you and I talked about
25, 50 million in the next 5 years.
I talked about like not a 20% increase, a 10x increase.
I'm like,
and when most people like heads are like, you guys are crazy. You guys are already making over 7 figures. Like,
I'm like, let's keep going. So when you're small, you have to have like everyone around you has to be loyal, because everybody truly matters. And I'm not saying that everybody doesn't matter in a larger company, but you feel it more in a smaller company, right? The larger you get, it's inevitable that, because the larger you get, the more the CEO and the business owner is like removed from like, the different tiers of team members, right? Okay. Because then you start building like different divisions and departments and so on and so forth. You become further removed from like entry-level employees and middle management, for example, right? And then you have like your C-suite team, your executive team, your directors. So I think that when you're a larger company, that upper leadership and that executive team, loyalty is super important on that level. I don't know if it's realistic to think that like every team member, when you're at 300, 400, 500 team members, is going to be loyal to you, especially if they're like, entry-level new hire, for example.
So it should like high-end corporate executives, CEOs, founders, should they have like an open door policy to the new hires, or should there be some levels of management in between them that kind of filters all of the whether it's noise or whether it's distractions?
Yeah, I would say like it's hard to say again the larger you get, but as much as you can, for as long as you can, I would say try to have a touch point with new hires if you're the owner of the company. You know, even if you're at 1,000 employees, because I think you're in some ways you're like a celebrity, right? Like imagine there being a new hire and then the CEO, even if you hop on Zoom saying, welcome to the company, we're so grateful to have you here, everybody matters, I'm the owner of the company, you know, we've grown to da-da-da-da-da. Obviously, I'm not your direct leader, but I just wanted to let you know that you matter, and this is from the person that built the company.
Does that make a difference to the new hire?
I think 100%. Wouldn't you think that it would?
I mean, even just hearing it, like if I were to work for a corporate company and then the CEO of the Win, you know, shows up on a call or something like that and says, hey, welcome to the team. I know there's 10,000 of us today, but you're here.
Yeah.
That would make me feel amazing.
Yeah, you're just like, you're not cattle, you're not another number.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That would make me feel amazing.
And then it's up to the company to create a system where there's mentorship and positive leadership so that those new hires, even if they are entry level. Okay, but like quick pause right here. If you haven't been to Peppermill, it's one of the best restaurants on the strip.
No, where is it?
Right here, this Peppermill with this little martini glass.
Oh, I love it.
This restaurant has been around forever. And the portions are freaking massive. But quick story, when we were younger, Vegas was the go-to vacation for my parents. So even though I only moved here like 3 years ago, every summer my parents would drive to Vegas, and my dad we always went to this restaurant first.
Well, I sort of I have driven this thing 1,000 times. In the podcast alone, hundreds of times.
You have to go to
I've never seen it. Or
you have to go, even if you go online and you say top 10 restaurants in Vegas.
How do I not know?
It's like the Wynn, Bellagio, Peppermill.
Very good. And I know you have a good palate. I know you like good nice things.
Well, that's like junk food, but it's so good.
Oh, okay. Have you been to the Fontainebleau?
I haven't, but I just got tickets for the Vegas Night Gala that's in November. That's going to be here.
Oh, is it here?
Yeah.
What is that, the Vegas Night Gala?
It's just, I guess it's a gala that the Vegas Knights hockey team is throwing in November.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah, November 3rd. So it just came in my inbox, and it's going to be at the Fontainebleau. So I'm like, oh, that'll be cool.
Well, it is a beautiful hotel. That's what I love about like Vegas. Like, we can be talking about something so serious, and then all of a sudden, like, this beautiful like background and everything that Vegas has to offer. I love this city. It's so colorful. I've been doing this podcast like all year, and it's so different when you do it during the day, and then in the summer, and the night is like the lights just kind of are bright.
I like the night.
When we do it on like Friday nights, you see some crazy shit happening.
I believe it
out there. You know, especially because sometimes I might do like one or two, and some crazy things happen.
It's calm right now. It's a little calm, but it's okay.
It feels like Vegas is barely waking up. It's also only like 8 p.m. It looks like it might be darker.
It's like my bedtime almost, just so you know.
Do you wake up super early?
Yeah, I go to bed at like 9:30, and then I wake up like around 5:30.
Is it because you have clients in different time zones, or is that just your routine?
I think I just trained my body to do that.
Walk me through the founder's routine. What's your routine in the morning?
In the morning, yeah. So I'll usually wake up, I should say anywhere between 5 and 6. It depends on the season, to tell you the truth. During the summer, like when the sun rises early, sometimes I wake up at 4:30.
Because it wakes you up, right?
Yeah, like I don't have an alarm. The sun wakes me up. But you know, now we're going into the fall season and it gets darker, and so I usually wake up like 5:45, 6:15ish. Like,
and then it's gonna get cold.
I know,
and you want to get a little more cozy.
But essentially I wake up in the morning, I pray. I always pray first thing, like just thank you for breath and life, and I get to see another day. And
best way to start.
Best way to start. Like I think it's super important to practice gratitude and faith when everything's great. You know what I mean? Like sometimes people, they only turn to God, not to get preachy, but when they're in trouble.
The 911 God.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm in trouble, God. Get me out of this jam. Oh, my health is back. I got the job. I'll call you in 2 years when I need you.
So I pray, and then me and my dog Jabel, his name is Jabel, he's the best thing in the world.
Oh, yay. Well, send us a picture,
I
Gabby.
will.
We'll put a picture of Jabel.
We go downstairs, I make my favorite cup of coffee, and I just relax. I just sit in silence. So like the first thing I do when I wake up is nothing. I just drink my cup of coffee and sit in silence, because I don't want to overstimulate my brain right away in the morning with technology. You know, like I don't need to be on social media and doing all that stuff right away. And then typically I'll take Shovel for a walk, and then I'll work out.
Oh wow, that's a great routine.
Yeah, and then I'll get ready for the day. And usually when I get ready for the day, I listen to a podcast. PBD Podcast is my favorite podcast right now.
Shout out. I listened to it this morning.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, me too. I listen to a podcast or watch the YouTube while I'm putting on my makeup. Because as a female, I do my hair, I can put my makeup on. Sometimes it takes me 30, 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. So while I'm doing that, I'm filling my brain with whatever the podcast is of the day or the YouTube channel. Sometimes I'll listen to Alex Hormozy, or I'll watch a Dave Ramsey, his money radio show, but I'll listen and watch something that's knowledgeable for me.
Those first few hours are so important in the day. I love that you started with gratitude, with prayer.
Yeah.
Get on my knees and kind of just say
exercise.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you have a little gym at your own house?
I do. I have, it's funny, I have a hot studio membership, like True Fusion, the yoga and stuff.
Oh, it's big, yeah.
Yeah, and then I have a membership. Yeah, and then I have a membership at Lifetime, and then I have a small fitness space at my house, like the Peloton treadmill and weights and that kind of stuff. Because there are times where I might have a client early, because we have clients and prospects in Saudi Arabia, Dubai, for example. So there are times where, I have a client meeting at 5 a.m. and so I'm not going to head to the gym that early, but I might walk on the treadmill or do something right. You know what I mean? So,
but you have to look like you've been awake for a while, not just coming out with crusty eyes at 5 in the morning, because they're expecting,
That Zoom filter helps me out so much in the morning.
The glow up filter.
The glow filter on Zoom helps you win that morning. It's perfect.
Makeup, perfect. Remove everything. That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I want to know how you define emotional intelligence, because I hear that term all the time. People throw it in there, but you're very pragmatic about it. You have a lot of information. So how do you define that?
So I think, so the pragmatic definition, and I guess that you would find online, is your ability to manage and be aware of your own emotions, and the ability to be aware and influence the emotions of others. It's both, right?
Oh, so not just yourselves, but other people.
Correct. That's what most people don't understand about emotional intelligence. And that's why it's so important for the workplace, because it's the full spectrum. It's basically how you show up, how you are self-aware, how you manage yourself, and it's how you are aware of other people's emotions and how you communicate and play with them and how you're able to influence them. That's why emotional intelligence is so important for sales, because if you're trying to close sales, you have to be so freaking emotionally intelligent to influence the sale, to understand what the person's going through, how to get them to take action. That requires that EQ, right? But for me, on a lighter note, emotional intelligence is that you are able to read and understand and pivot your behaviors based off of situations. So what I mean is going into a room and understanding how to play the room.
So not being rigid one way only, so you're able to kind of move into different rooms.
Everybody has different layers to themselves. To me, emotionally intelligence is understanding which energy, what attitude, what language should I be using right now in this moment, in cohesiveness with whoever's in the room. So for example, I'm pretty assertive, right? I'm an assertive individual as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, okay? But if I go into a room with other business owners and entrepreneurs and they're super assertive and aggressive, I'm not going to assert in that moment. I'm going to use my emotional intelligence to understand,
to not create friction.
Just also to balance out the energy and the dynamics of the room, right? When I speak, I do a lot of speaking. Thankfully, I have an amazing team right now, and so I don't do as much coaching and training in corporate. I do a lot of stage speaking, keynote speaking. The second I get to the hotel or wherever the event is, I go into the room and read the room. What kind of people are these people? Are they energetic? Are they serious? Because I have to use my emotional intelligence to understand how I'm going to play the stage.
Oh, before you get on the stage, you actually walk around the room, you see the kind of conference, you feel the people.
Yeah.
Is it something you feel, or you're actually studying the room and seeing it?
Both. I mean, there's even...
that's a great thing to do.
Yeah, even when you go into a meeting, when I'm going into a meeting with a potential client, I'm studying their energy while I'm talking. I'm like, okay, whatever just came out of my mouth, did they smile? Did they frown? Like, that's emotional intelligence, is like you're adapting your behaviors live in the moment to get the most influential and productive outcome.
So you're like literally looking for like visual cues, but you're also understanding and oh, that's great. But I mean, on a one-on-one is easier, but I bet much like when easier. You have a full room.
Yeah.
Does it ever distract you when you're on the stage and somebody's on their phone or they're talking over there? Because I've seen people on stages react differently to the same situation.
Yeah. I don't want to say it distracts me, but it gives me information. So like when I was a performer, for example, there were times where I would perform in like a dinner theater. A dinner theater is like where they eat and they're watching the show, right? I would watch how many times people would pick up their glass to take a drink of water. And if there were a bunch of people that were constantly like, fidgeting, I'm like, we're not good enough right now. Like, we need to step up our game because we're not captivating them.
Oh my God, I don't want to drink my tea anymore.
So like that, you better not touch that. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, it's almost full. I am thirsty, but...
No, you can drink, of course.
It's like shaking in my hand right now.
But like, that's how I am when I speak. It's like, if somebody's on their phone, okay, if there's one person in a room of 1,000, fine. But if I'm seeing like a lot of people disengage, then again, I'm using my emotional intelligence to like re-engage them. So I might be like, all right, everybody stand up. Yeah, like I might do something to like,
right there on the spot.
Yeah, because again, emotional intelligence, how do I influence to create the best outcome, win-win situation? And if I can see that they're not engaged, I'm not just going to keep talking for 30 minutes with a disengaged room.
Who's someone that motivates you, that you've seen on the stage and you're like, I want to be like that? Like, who's someone that inspires you?
Oh, that's a great question.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would say okay, so there's two people. I went to an event last year, and there's a guy named Ed Milet who I've heard of a lot. Like, he runs in similar circles, but I've never met him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I saw him keynote on stage, and he is one of the best speakers I've seen on stage.
He owned it?
Well, I don't know if he had an amazing day, but no, I don't think so. I think that was him. I just remember crying, laughing, feeling empowered. Whatever he did in that moment was like a full-on experience. And it changed my life. I was like, that's one of the best speakers I've ever seen. And I was really honored to also watch him, because sometimes as a keynote speaker, you're the only keynote speaker, and so I don't get to watch a lot of speakers. Like when I go to conferences, I would say over 50% of the time I'm the headliner and there's no other keynote, right? I love watching other speakers, but I don't always get that opportunity.
Was this one where you both were going to be on stage?
No, I wasn't. Somebody invited me just to be in the audience as a participant, and I was like, okay, cool. It was here in Vegas.
That's awesome.
And I actually wanted to see him. He was like on my list of like, I really want to see him, because my mentor David Meltzer knows him, and so that's kind of, I was like, okay, I want to see Ed Milet. He was amazing. The other person that I really like, but I haven't seen him do a keynote, but I've seen him like in a workshop situation, is Alex Hormozi.
Oh, so you've seen him in workshop.
I love Alex Hormozi because I resonate with his style, and like I see a lot of similarities in how we approach education. You know what I mean? How so? Because the thing about Alex and Layla that I really appreciate is that they're all about education. Like, they're business gurus and they're freaking amazing, but at the end of the day, they like to educate. That's why everything they do is pretty much free.
Yeah,
right?
And they bullet it, they outline it. It's almost like a teacher with a classroom with a pen and paper, and they're like, do this, 100%. Do that, remove this.
Yes, and so they say, and I firmly believe this, that people that are really into education, that just love providing education and knowledge, and they're good at what they do, they're the best people to watch on stage, because they can answer things in the moment. And that's the thing about Alex Hormozi that I really freaking love, is he will stand on stage for 3 hours and just take a bunch of questions from the audience that he has no idea what they're gonna say. And he will give you like gold out of his mouth that is educational, that makes sense, and that's strategic. And that's not easy to do. And I also like to do that in my field, which is like emotional intelligence. So like every time I get asked to do a keynote, I will not do a keynote unless they give me 15 to 20 minutes of live Q&A. And they always are shocked. Okay. They're like, why do you want to do that? Most speakers, like, they don't want to do, they just want to do the PowerPoint.
Yeah, they want to go in, know their slides, and get out of there.
And I'm like, nope, because Q&A is where I get to establish my credibility, and the audience understands that, like, I actually know what I'm talking about, and I love to educate and like make sure that they're getting what they need for the audience. And Alex Hormozi does that all the time, and it's amazing. He's not standing up there doing a script. So I would say those two for me are like
that's amazing.
Yeah.
There's do you know who Matt Rife is? Do you follow comedians?
Not really. The only comedian I like follow is Chappelle.
Oh, well, okay, well, that's another perfect genius. So it could almost parallel. And there are comedians that go in there, they do the materials, they know their joke lines, they do whatever.
Yeah.
This new guy that came out, I think out of TikTok, I'm really not sure, but now he's probably the highest paid like comedian, and is just selling out stadiums and whatnot. He would spend 60 to 90 minutes, the entire show, just sitting on a stool, talking to the audience.
Yeah.
And he starts like either roasting people or asking them questions, and then he gets up and leaves. Like, yeah. Completely unprepared, and that's just someone who feels comfortable enough with his craft that he can actually be funny,
100%.
Educate people, entertain people, the same way as you would want to entertain questions for 15, 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Because most people would be like, nope, I want to go into my script, I want to get my slides, I want to get my paycheck, and I'm out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm the opposite, because I think that every audience is so unique. You can't be scripted. Again, that's where the emotional intelligence comes in. You have to be willing to feel the room out and be able to change in the moment.
Do you, looking at this beautiful place, do you ever go out in Vegas? Do you like shows? Like, what do you do?
I love
for
shows.
Fun?
I love shows.
To take care of yourself.
I always do things for myself. It's like part of my like daily.
They're like, listen, child, most of the time I take care of myself.
Because I'm a big fan of like playing and working hard every day.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Now, does it happen every single day? No, but like I am a fan of like, okay, work hard, but then like also do something fun for yourself that day too, you know? I love coming to the Strip. I don't come a lot. Like, I'm not here every week, but I am here, you know, maybe every other week. I love dining out because I love trying like new foods and new restaurants, and I love shows because I used to be a performer. So I love, you know, checking out the next show or the new show that's coming up, or, you know, whatever's happening. I know Celine Dion's coming back. I'm so excited.
Oh, she is. What a comeback, right?
I know.
So you like more music shows versus
all the above.
Magicians or Cirque du Soleil?
Anything that I hear is great. I love Cirque du Soleil. I love musical shows. There are some comedy shows. I saw on Practical Jokers, like I think it was in the 5 months ago that they were here at the Resorts World.
Was Joe in the show, or he was not?
No, it was only the three of them. And then I also I love energy. So sometimes I'll come to the Strip and I'll just walk around because it's just so lively.
I love that you're saying that, because I can just come here on the Strip and do this. And sometimes when I'm stressed, I would go work, computer, and then I would just do this.
Yeah.
Drive up and down the Strip, and I would look at what people are doing. And
yeah.
People travel from all over the world. They save their money. They're finally in Las Vegas.
Cool.
And then you can just see them. And we take this for granted. This is like a 30-minute drive from my house, from my door to here.
Exactly.
We're in an amazing location.
Yeah.
Most people in the world have never seen. Well, that's a common thing, the ambulance. And, you know. So on one of the episodes...
It's amazing! Just kidding. On
one of the episodes, we had the fire truck coming in this way, and all of a sudden the fire truck is like honking at me, and I don't know what to do. And there's some crazy things that have happened. But I do love Las Vegas. I do love the energy.
I love it.
I do love people.
And like I don't drink, and I think I have like a glass of wine maybe once a year. I don't really gamble, but you don't have to really enjoy Vegas. I think There's so much.
Best, yeah.
There's so much life here. I
People
love
are
it.
like, how are you so happy in Vegas? I was like, because I don't drink and I don't gamble.
Love
you know how happy I am. Like, I get all the shows, I get everything. I
Tax
get
benefits,
to see people.
yeah.
All the best. Tax
Yeah.
benefits for sure.
Yeah.
And I moved from California. Where did you move from?
California, Orange County.
Oh, okay. Wow, we have a very similar path. I moved here 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I guess 3.5, whatever, from LA, and yeah, I bought a house in Las Vegas, brand new, like we built from the ground up.
That's amazing. Great. For
The same amount of money that I'm paying for my mortgage is what I was
100%.
paying for a 1-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
In LA.
I know.
That didn't even have a washer or dryer.
I know.
You had to go down the stairs with
It's
the.
crazy.
And I was like, you mean I can have a brand new home, like from the ground up? Like I can
Right?
choose the color. Yeah.
You live like a king.
Yeah, the same amount of money, and the money that I'm saving from the taxes is the money that I'm gonna put in the down payment. Yeah, I was like,
People
okay,
don't
well, I'll
know.
go.
People don't know. Vegas is amazing.
I almost didn't want to say it. So the first thing I did when I moved here was change my license plate from California and get my driver's
Yeah.
license. But the DMV had this crazy line. Like, did you go to the DMV and change your driver's
I
license?
did,
at the
but it
beginning?
took me like a year. I'm not gonna lie.
Aren't you supposed to do that in the first like 2 weeks?
You're supposed to. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anyone.
Yeah. Well, now you have it. I know. I
Yeah.
remember, like, I waited. I was like, why are people like? It's like 5 a.m. There's a line outside of the DMV.
Yeah, because
they're
there's so
waiting.
many people came from California.
Yeah, we invaded. Honestly,
The influx was crazy.
we invaded. We made the prices go up here in Las Vegas. I'm sorry, residents, but
It's still okay, though,
Our
compared to
property has
Cali.
gone up. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I go to California now, and I'm like, I'm there, and then I'm like, I want to go back.
That's how I am. I'm like, get me out of here. No offense, Callie.
I like
Love
it,
you.
but I want to go back. Like, this is my home, and I just love, like, this traffic doesn't bother me, but when I'm in the 405, you know, it's a whole different.
I want to rip my hair out. Fluffy,
Yeah.
Fluffy's coming here, the comedian. Do you know
Oh
Fluffy?
yeah,
the comedian?
Enrique.
Yeah, they
Fluffy,
call him
yeah.
Fluffy. I just saw
Yeah.
him on the billboard.
Oh, there you go. See billboards, mobile billboards
Me
work.
and Waleed, my older brother, love Fluffy. So we have to come see him.
I don't know if I've seen him. We do watch, you know, several shows on Sundays. Me and my wife, we always pick a new spot to go eat. Actually, the car Tesla has a feature that says hungry,
Oh, really?
and you just tap on it, and it gives you like a bunch of lists, and we just like would pick one random, and then the car would take us to
That's so cool.
Scarpetta.
Oh,
So-
I love Scarpetta.
Oh, I don't even know what that is.
It's so good. It's such a good restaurant.
Like,
Okay.
look at this, beautiful.
If you love Vegas, you have to go to Dubai at some point. Have you been to Dubai?
I have not.
Oh my gosh.
It's this times 5 times 10.
Yeah. Like, they definitely came here and studied Las Vegas and then took it back and dumped 10 times the amount of money to make it bigger and
Is
better.
it the buildings? Is it the atmosphere? Is it the
The
lights?
atmosphere, the buildings, the luxury, the fountain, everything, the innovation. Dubai, I would say, is one of the best cities in the world for me too. Vegas and Dubai.
That's
But
amazing.
they're so similar. They're so similar.
But it is extravagance, right? It is like high tech, big buildings.
It is, but it's not
high energy.
expensive. It's
Is
not,
it not?
It's not expensive. It's like Vegas. It's like you can live high roller and be expensive, and you can also like live off the strip and be like it's really affordable and still have an amazing life.
There's some rich ass people in
For
Dubai.
sure. For sure.
Right?
For sure.
Yeah.
But you can get an amazing condo in Dubai, like in the heart of Dubai, for 300,000 American. That's nothing.
That is nothing. I mean, that is nothing.
Yeah, for like 1,500 square feet. That's nothing.
I didn't know that. People are honking at me because I'm
Yeah, I
going
know
slow.
you're slow. We're trying to milk this podcast.
Well, no, I go slow because sometimes like the microphone, like
I
with the
see what you
speed
mean.
bumps, yeah, and I used to be able to do 2 laps, but there's no way like this new construction thing that's happening since they did
I
the
know.
Formula One. Do you like sports? Do you like Formula One?
Not really. I mean, I don't mind going to a live event because it's fun.
Yeah.
But I don't want to like watch it on TV or anything.
Did you do anything like the Super Bowl or any of those?
No.
Like you're more business focused and growth, huh?
No, I don't mind doing those things. It's just if they're not super valuable to me, I won't spend the money. Like I'm one of those people that will spend a ton of money if I'm like super excited and really want to do it. And if I'm not excited, I'm like I'm not gonna spend the money even if it's $5. I'm like it's
It's not worth it.
not worth it. Like I'll spend a ton of money to travel the world, you know, all by myself, like Louis Vuitton bags, like I'll do my thing.
Get it.
You know what I mean? But then like there'll be moments where I won't even spend $5. I'm like, heck no. So it just depends. Like if it excites me, then I'll do it. And those kind of things are cool, but they're not, like, I don't know, they don't excite me.
It's not as much.
No, if someone invites me, then I'm like, sure, I'll go to hang out with you and do the thing, but I won't like initiate buying a sports ticket, except for the Vegas nights. I'll spend my money on
there you go.
Nights.
I mean, they're huge. They're fun. For someone who's been working with so many executive businesses, like, do you see now the rise of more like female founders, female executives? How do you see that movement?
Depends on the industry, to tell you the truth. There's some industries that are really thriving with women in leadership, and there's other industries where it could be a little bit challenging because there's still more dominance with like male executives and leaders.
I noticed you mentioned that 2 people were male, like the 2 people on the stage
that
you would like. Yeah. Is there a female on stage that you said, you know, like, she is great? I like to take a few things from this person.
It's a good question.
Or is it maybe the author of this book right here?
On the stage? No, I haven't. I haven't seen anyone on stage that is female that I've been like, wow. I mean, I've seen, like, on YouTube, like, I really like Marie Folio.
Okay, I do know.
Yeah, I really like Esther Perel.
I don't know her.
So there's definitely female influencers and business owners that I'm like, wow.
They're crushing?
They're just, yeah, I like their content. I love their energy. But if I'm talking about, like, live on stage, I can't think of one right now off the top of my head.
Yeah, whenever I go to conferences, I always try to, like, take notes and see what they're saying, and then I go back, cause like, what would I do different, like, on the stage? You know, how could I respond to something?
Yeah.
Because I've seen people that get stumped on stage, and then I guess it's that empathy that we have, that you start feeling kind of like, oh no, they're not doing well.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And then all the times you feel like, oh, they hit the home run. Like, you can just feel 100%. The energy. Do you feel that when you're on the stage?
I do, and like, I'm not gonna lie, I have, if I'm being totally authentic, like, I have some judgment still in me too, and I think it's the performance side. It's like, for example, when you perform your whole life and then you go watch a show, it's hard to watch a show in peace. Because you're
analyzing?
Yeah, you're critiquing it. You know, when you watch a singer, you're like, oh, like, they should have hit that note, or, oh, they cracked there. Because you've done it for so long that it's just natural in your head that you start to kind of analyze the art of it, right?
Yeah, so like an athlete that's like, no, I don't want to watch sports. I saw Tom Brady.
Yeah.
And he was like, do you enjoy football? He's like, I've been off the game, but every time they make a play, I'm analyzing, I'm looking at the teams. He's like, I can't really enjoy the game because I know too much about the game.
Exactly. And so sometimes when I get the privilege to watch a speaker on stage, I always learn from a speaker, for sure. I always 100% learn. But I will say that it's hard to move me as a speaker because I'm also studying the speaker to say, like, oh, like, what would I do better? Or that was really good. I'm going to add that in my talk. So I think Ed Milet is the one person that I saw where I didn't take a single note. I was literally like in awe. I couldn't take my eyes off of
like, he was
him
just
and
so
what he was doing.
Magnetic.
He was so magnetic, yeah.
That's such a cool thing to do. And have I seen him in person? I feel like I've followed so much of his content that it almost feels like that I've seen it. I know I've seen Hormozi on stage. Maybe not Ed, but it is one of those things where you just learn a lot.
Yeah.
Can I ask more about on the
ask
personal
me
stuff
when you want?
Because I am driven by, like, we're both immigrants. We both grew. You know, I'm first generation here. I learned English when I was 16 years old. I moved to the U.S. I learned English watching Seinfeld, by the way.
Yeah, you
that's
told
so
me
crazy.
that.
And with you, right, when we're talking about it, and to me, like, the come up of the story of how to get to it, of how to get to where you were. So, you know, when you were younger, like, who were you like when you were like 14, 15 years old? Like, you know, what was that like when you were traveling the world? performing?
When I was in high school, I was, I think a mini version of what I am now.
Perfect.
When I was in high school, I was that cheerleader that would stick up for people that were getting bullied, for example.
Oh, that's nice.
I would sit in the choir room and hang out with students that struggled with disabilities that would kind of like hide away in the choir room, even though I was popular. But I didn't care.
So you did have empathy. You you were nice.
Well, yeah, for sure. I've always been kind, but empathy is not. Empathy is different, I think, than being kind.
Okay.
Because you can be kind and still say like, no, I don't understand. Like you can put your best foot forward. You can still be kind, but like have like really tough expectations that you don't budge on. Empathy is being able to understand where someone's coming from and being able to understand their situation and maybe support and provide solutions for that situation, right? Being able to put yourself in their shoes on a cognitive level, on an emotional level, and on like a physical level. But sometimes,
so you helped out your high school friends. You were popular, you said.
Yeah, I was. I was.
Is it because of the singing?
I don't know. I just think I was involved in a lot, and
just dripping swag.
I was involved in a lot, and I've always had a high level of self-confidence from my parents.
I think that's what it is. I think you just walk the talk and you walk with this flair, because there is something about you where you know you're confident, you know you've done it, and yet at the same time you have so much more to go.
Yeah, I just like I've always had a high level of self-confidence because of my parents. They taught, my brothers are the same way. They taught us to be self-confident. So when I was in high school, like I didn't really care what kids thought about me, even though I was popular just naturally because I was involved in a lot of stuff. But like I didn't care. I would go to parties after the football game and not drink. I'd be the only person that didn't drink.
Even in high school, so you never drank?
No,
I know you mentioned
no,
it.
and they would like try to peer pressure me, and I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm okay, thank you.
That's great. I mean, most people wreck their lives around that time because they go on a different path.
I wasn't. Well, I also had a super strict dad that would like
check on
take
it.
the belt out if I.
Was your brother? Did they was it the same with your brother?
No, yeah. It's not like today's parenting. Our parents, back in the day,
hard,
they had the wooden spoon. They had the belt.
Oh, the belt. Yeah.
I was like, I did not care what my friends thought about me because at the mercy of my mom and dad, I'm like, nope.
They instilled in you like definitely good values, a good direction,
100%,
good discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a great thing to kind of think about that. For me, my dad also passed away when I was 20, so I was in college, and things change, right? Like then you start going into different directions.
Yeah.
For me, I did take a detour for sure.
Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah, I was talking to a guy today, and he's 25, and he's like all this driven and asking questions and everything, and I was like, you're so far ahead like of where I was at 25,
yeah.
and then there's people that are just hard on themselves. Do you think you're hard on yourself?
Yes, I'm really hard on myself, but I'm also proud of myself simultaneously. It's one of those things where
self-love.
Yeah, it's one of those things where actually a keynote speaker that I saw on stage said this, and this is the golden nugget that I took from her, which I always hold on to. She said, commit to dying empty.
Oh, damn.
I know, right? Commit to dying empty. So I don't know. I think because I lost my parents at a younger age, I don't expect that I'm going to like wake up tomorrow. You just don't know. You don't know when your time is up. And so for me, I'm hard on myself in the sense that I want to give everything I have within the day and be proud of myself that like I gave everything that I had today. But I'm also proud of myself at the same time, but I don't like not putting my best foot forward as a person, not just in career. Like if I say something mean, right? Because you're a human being, you're going to do that. Or if I like...
Because the team messes up, because people do wrong, because there's mistakes.
Or if I...
It's the best view, come on.
Or if I don't treat myself the best way, or if I just do something, I'm like, Netta, come on, like you could be better than that. Like, don't put yourself down. Don't put others down. Like, I have those conversations with myself all the time. With yourself? Yeah, oh yeah. But I'm proud of myself. Like, I can look at myself in the mirror and say like, great job, like you're a great woman, you've done good and you're doing good and you're continuing to do good. But that doesn't mean that I'm still don't have more to do and more to go.
There's a Japanese word called, it's kaizen, and I have it tattooed on my arm.
Okay.
And it means continuous improvement
Yeah.
in all aspects. And it's basically exactly what you're describing, where you reach a certain goal, but don't stay there. Like, push yourself a little bit more.
Just keep pushing yourself.
You have a C, you get to a B, you get to an A minus. Why not get that A plus? You get to $1 million. Why not get to 10? And yeah, what in your experience, what did you find more difficult? Like getting from 0 to 100,000, your first 100,000, or your first 1 million?
Oh, that's a good question. It wasn't the 100,000. Once the business started, that came fast. That came within a year.
The first 100,000?
Yeah, that came within a year.
That's good growth.
Actually, the first $500,000 came within the first 2 years.
Oh, so you had like a slingshot beginning.
Yeah, and it's grown every year since then.
Do you see growth like of 100% every year? Do you see growth of like 20%, 30%?
We would grow by a solid 6 figures or more every year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's substantial.
Yeah. I mean, like the first year was like 187,000, and the second year was over $500,000.
That's quite a jump. I mean, that's a 200%, 300%.
Yeah, with no paid marketing, just like me getting out there and networking and going to events and shaking hands.
That's the best.
Yeah, and
I mean, that's how we met at a
networking
event.
A
networking event.
Yeah,
really.
The Vegas Chamber. I think where I'm at right now is definitely pushing me, which is you're in the 7 figures, you're in the millions, but it's like it's getting to like the 10 million. It's getting from like the 7 to the 8 figures. I think is harder. But
is it because that's where we are? Because I have heard of people that have gone from the 100 to the 1 million, the 1 to 10, and then some have made it to the 100 million.
Yeah.
Or mostly talks about this, and he's like, it's just easier as you get into the bigger numbers. It's harder at the beginning. It took me a long time to get to 100K in life.
Really? Yeah.
In life, in the business, it seemed like you, like no sales.
Yes.
No sales. Boom, $250,000.
Yeah.
100%.
I think it will get easy. I think what it is now is we're in the phase where it's like the things that we did to get to 7 figures aren't the things that we can keep doing to get to the next level.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. Yeah. So I want to dig into that because I want to talk about like what do we need to do now to get to the next level?
Exactly. Like you can get to $1 million. So anyone that's listening that's like maybe starting their business or kind of in the thick of it, you can get to $1 million with like low budget, meaning without having to put a lot into the business. By getting out there and
Low
shaking
resources,
hands.
yep.
Yeah, by like getting out there, shaking hands, going to networking events, like doing little workshops for free, you can get to $1 million doing that. But once you get to the 7 figures and you want to keep growing and expanding, then you need to be able to make more money, to put in more money for like SEO, Google ads, marketing. Like there's a different type of strategy that then needs to happen. Automations, like turnkey things on the back end of your website that are going to continue to like push you and grow you. Like the phase that we're in right now is RFPs, right?
Okay.
RFPs and like government grants. And if we can land one government grant or an RFP from an enterprise, some of those are 8 figures in themselves.
Yeah,
like
that's the needle
grant.
movers in just one single deal.
Yeah, but it takes
time.
Yeah, it takes time, and it takes like hiring somebody that's their expertise is like writing government grants. So again, it takes money to like make that next level of money. You know what I mean? But
is that what you're up to right now?
That's
like
what we're
like
at.
Government,
oh my gosh,
strategic, because there's brands that need to spend. I mean, they have enormous budgets and they need to spend money in either minority business owned or women-owned businesses.
Yeah, exactly.
Governmentals, but then everybody who qualifies wants to go after the money, so you really have to be really good at applying for those.
Yes, exactly. And that's not my expertise. And at this stage in the company, I don't need it to be. I just need to hire the right person that can do it. You know what I'm saying? But I think that, we're just in that next level of growth where the strategy that we've done up until now is the same Netta. Like, I can't be the same Netta that I was 3 years ago.
No, because then you're stale.
You're stale.
If you're not moving forwards, it's gonna start moving backwards because everything is having momentum. Life keeps moving forward, and if you stand still, all of a sudden you're behind. Your competitors are gonna start getting ahead.
That's right.
If we do the same, it's funny. My company is InMotion, and literally like every year I've added a new service or something else to create more growth, 100%. More revenue, more movement. And they're like, why are you pivoting to this? I was like, because if I stay doing the same thing, then I'll be like these billboards that are just driving up and down with the same thing, the same stuff from 20 years ago.
Yeah, there's no lights on them, so you could barely see it.
I was like, over here. There's a billboard here of those dancer women that are here.
The showgirls, yeah.
That girl's a grandma. There's no way. Like, that billboard is like 25 years old, 30 years old. There's no way that girl is not driving by like, I remember when I made that photo
true. I'm
shoot.
not gonna lie. It's been here for a while.
A long time ago. They're faded.
They're in like the unitards.
Yes. I was like, I've seen that like when I was like 9 years old. I used to come up here with like my mom. I was like, that was like 30 years ago. Like,
you're not wrong.
But they're doing the same thing. There's some people that don't want to get out of their comfort zone. Did you ever read the book The Alchemist?
I have, yeah. It's been a while, but I read it a long time ago.
I remember the story of the guy that's like selling tea, and the boy walks up to the mountain, and the guy's like selling tea, and he's made a living selling tea, and then the boy goes like, you can put it in a jar and like sell the jar and the tea, and the guy is like, all of a sudden has like this booming business, a lot more people, and the guy is like, this is not what I wanted. Now I can't go to bed on time, like I can't wake up too early, whatever, because just one little change created so much momentum in the business. It changed so much, and he was like, I just wanted to be comfortable where I was. I wanted to continue, but here you come, giving me a new little twist. And now I have to work more. And most people don't want to get out of that comfort zone.
They don't. I think, again, most people want the outcome. But it's
true.
It's the process of getting there that there's a fear around. Or there is a stress around. It's like, I mean, you probably know a ton of people that are maybe in the corporate space. And maybe they really want to like be an entrepreneur and build their own side hustle. But they won't leave the corporate space because it's safe.
Because it pays. Because they have a check every 2 weeks.
It's safe. It doesn't create a disruption, and they don't have the self-confidence to take the action. Like, meaning that again, you have to have like a high level of believing and betting on yourself in order to do that.
I love this. Yes. They know how much money is going to be in the bank every 2 weeks, and that gives them some sort of certainty, comfort. They can plan their expense here and there. And for people like you and I, like, we don't know unless we work it out, right? Like, we could have contracts that are out 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. But if we stop moving, then the well dries up.
Yeah. And even like, and not even entrepreneurship. Let's just say, like, I know a lot of people that are really high performing that will always be in corporate because they just love it. They like working for a big enterprise. They have no desire to be a business owner, and that's fine too. But they have to find the drive of like continuing to grow in the company and be high performing, and that's fine too. But either way, you have to be willing to take risk. If you're an entrepreneur or you're a corporate professional, you have to be willing to take risk and bet on yourself. You have to be willing to have conversations that are difficult to like push you to the next level in your career. So I just think that not everybody has the skill to do that. They can learn it. I mean, obviously that's what we teach, but
not everybody wants it too.
I think more people want it than we realize, but again, they don't understand how important the soft skills, kind of going back to what we do, is in order to get there. It's like, do you know how many people sit across from me and they're like, I want to grow in my career. I think I should go get another PhD. And it's like, you already have 2.
One more degree in the wall is not what you need.
Exactly. So they're missing the boat in understanding that like the most successful people in the world, it's not because of their degrees. It's because they have built like the social skills and the relationship building and the ability to influence and the like internal motivation to like be in the top %. It's not because they got a bunch of degrees.
I love that. So I want to talk on the services for Rise Up For You. So you guys have the coaching. What other services do you guys provide?
Yeah, so we're B2B and we're B2C. So we work with corporations around the world, and we go into the company and we work with their teams, and we do like team training, executive coaching, leadership retreats to help the team. And some of our companies, they work for years with us. Like we go through all their leaders, we do all the emotional intelligence, communication, company culture, everything with the company.
What sizes can work with you, and up to what size do you guys work with?
Yeah, we've worked with everything from like 20 people to thousands. So
oh wow,
yeah.
So you guys work with some big ones.
Oh yeah. Billion-dollar companies, pharmaceutical companies, oil companies, everything. We've touched pretty much every industry.
Like gamut, every...
Yeah, we worked with Google, LA Fitness, I mean, you name it. We've
that's
had the
so
opportunity to work
awesome.
through. And then we also have B2C, which is, like just straight to the consumer. And that's usually the individual. It's the person that is taking their own accountability and ownership of their growth. And they come to us for one-to-one coaching. And then we also have a global membership that has like hundreds and thousands of videos on self-confidence, leadership, like pushing your potential, becoming your best. There's assessments that they can take on themselves. There's like free like coaching and one-to-one coaching, and all of our members from around the world, they hop into that membership and they're learning and they're growing. So we have something for the individual, and then of course we have everything
level.
For the enterprise. Yeah.
What's the process of like the interviewing someone? Anyone who approaches you, do you guys go through an interview process of kind of onboarding them, or how does that work?
That if they want to work for Rise Up For You?
If they want to work with you guys, if they want to hire you.
Oh, if they want to hire us. Yeah, so typically what happens is we'll do like an informative call, let's say, for a company. And, we take them through the process. Like, what's your top challenge right now? Why is this a need for you? What needs to be solved? And then we can identify what programming or what we think needs to happen for the organization to increase their performance and minimize the challenges. Like, most people don't know $1.2 trillion is wasted every single year on poor communication in companies. So companies in the US alone, they waste $1.2 trillion in America.
That's crazy.
On poor communication. Meaning like they have to do repeat meetings, they have to keep sending emails, mistakes happen because the communication wasn't clear.
Lack of efficiency, lack of communication.
Exactly, right? So that's just like one statistic that's crazy. We know that 76% of the workforce are disengaged, so only 33% are like, not even 33%, less than that are kind of into their job.
Not full in?
Yeah, the majority, 70%, are just kind of like they're making a paycheck.
Do you feel like whatever happened in 2020 and people working from the office and not having that culture back at work has affected the productivity of companies?
It has affected the productivity of companies a lot. It's also created a lot of entitlement. And I think it's created...
Don't be political. It's just drop it.
It's created like a ton of entitlement with the employees. And I think it's created this perception that entrepreneurship is super easy. Because think about when think about when COVID hit, so many people were like, I'm just going to build my own thing then. And so they were like quitting their jobs, and a lot of people in America were living on unemployment where they were trying to build this side hustle, which is fine.
They're getting that steamy.
Yeah, which is fine. Like, some people did it and they took advantage and then they made something of it. But most people, after about a year or two, and we saw this in our community as well with some of our clients, after about a year or two, they were like, this entrepreneur thing is not for me, and they went back and tried to find a job. You know what I mean?
It's much harder than looks. People want to quit the 9 to 5. They don't realize they have to work 24/7.
Oh yeah, you work harder for yourself than anyone else.
Yeah, all the pressure is on you. Every mistake comes on you.
Accountability.
You have to take accountability.
Like, no one's waking you up in the morning and saying, "Okay, it's time to build your business." It's like, you have to do it by yourself, and you have to be willing to sacrifice. Like, when I was building my business, I mean, again, I was broke because I just came back from the divorce. I was buying my groceries from the 99-cent store. Like my budget was like $15 a month. I would go to
to
the 99-cent store and buy like
what did
bananas,
you buy?
like,
Just like little things like that to survive?
Like I bought whatever produce they had at the 99-cent store. They had these little things.
You had to eat it that day because that produce is not going.
Beans, whatever. I made it work, and I was proud of myself.
Sometimes, not that often anymore, but I have gone to the 99-cent stores in this car, and then people look at me weird when I walk out with like bananas in bags and put it in my rainbow colored Tesla.
Why not? You know the 99-cent stores are shutting down though.
They're all because you can't sell things at 99-cent stores when inflation is like
inflation, that's right.
Crazy. You cannot sell anything.
People go there expecting 99 cents and then they try to put $5.99 on the label and they're like, nope.
And they're like, what happened? It's inflation.
Yeah, exactly.
But they made a ton of money. The story is like a couple, like an elderly couple who bought all the stuff. That's really great.
Yeah.
I want to wrap up with some of the frequently asked questions that executives like ask you when they come and hire you. Like, what are the top 2 or 3 things that businesses and business executives are missing?
They usually ask us, what's my ROI? If I'm going to invest in my people, how do I know it's actually going to change my workforce? Which is a great question. Because it's like, if I'm going to put money into something, okay, let's say, some of our contracts, like I said, are like 6 figures, $250,000, whatever. And sometimes those are on the small end. If they're going to spend that kind of money, they're like, are my people really going to perform better so that I can see an ROI with my team?
And how do you measure that?
We do measure it. We built assessments within our company, because when I first started the company, that's the first question I got asked. And I was like, I don't know. They'll be more emotionally intelligent. That's all I could say. And so right away I started building measuring tools and assessments so that we can collect data to then show them, like, here's how we measure success. And now when we work with a company, we do a bunch of measurement assessments in the beginning, and we do it again at the end, and then we develop a report for them and we show them the difference. And every single company we've worked with has had growth. We actually,
that's awesome.
We have a 95% repeat client rate.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah, 95% of our clients, they like sign on to do more work with us.
So they're coming, they're not leaving.
Yeah.
That's great. Do you tie some of that to a financial ROI for the company? So if a company's making X amount of money, they work with you, they should be expecting to make X amount more? We don't promise that, just, for liability and stuff, but we do show them, like, at the end, like, if we increase productivity, if we increase this, research shows that this is how much performance will increase, or this is how much money you'll make with not having turnover. So we do measure things like that. So, like, we'll ask a company... Turnover, because that costs money. People don't realize how much money is in turnover.
We once asked a company, how much are you spending on turnover? And they said, well, I don't know. I said, okay, go ask your HR. The executive came back and said, I'm embarrassed to say this. Yeah. They were like, HR stopped counting because it reached millions of dollars, so they don't know anymore.
In turnover? So even just one slight change of that, keeping new people, because training is so expensive. Hiring, getting new people out.
Oh my God. On average, it costs about $60,000 to $70,000 to turn someone over.
To get somebody onboarded?
Minimum. Because, like, think about it. You onboard somebody, put all the time and money and energy into them. You have a roadmap for them. You do all this stuff to set them up. And then when they turn over, you have to start that process all over again.
And it takes time.
All over again. It takes 3 to 6 months to even just get somebody kind of doing okay in a company.
Did you guys help with that? Like hiring people?
Yeah, it depends on the company and what they need. We always do an assessment ahead of time to see, like, where do they need us?
Yeah.
Because we do the coaching, we can help with onboarding, we do team training, we do retreats. So we just, it's not a cookie cutter response. It's like, what's your biggest challenge? What's happening right now? And then here's how we can help you. And then we give them that customizable proposal. Yeah.
Do you do that for your own teams? Because I know you just onboarded somebody. They have to go through that whole...
Yeah, they do. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. But, like, I try to be efficient. So, like, I've done a bunch of videos and we've built, like, an onboarding platform that could just help, cool. Like, so that we're not doing the same thing over and over again.
You're all systematized. This is so fun, and your car is here.
Yay! I was like,
she was worried. She's like, my car
gonna get like graffitied and jacked?
I mean, we're right by the strip.
I know.
We've never had an issue, but luckily everything is good.
We made it.
This was so fun. You're such a fun person, but also so much full of knowledge.
Thank you.
And I knew a little bit about you. I studied a little bit about you, but I didn't know the stuff that the beginning, the personal stuff. Like that's such a cool way to. That's a great background story.
Thank you.
That's a great background story. So thank you for everything.
Thanks for having me.
Let's finish with your Instagram, IG handles and everything, but tell us your website and everything.
Cool.
How they can find you.
Yeah, so our company website is Rise Up For You, completely spelled out, and our social media handles are the same across every single channel. We're on YouTube. We have a podcast. You're gonna come on the podcast. You gotta come on our podcast.
Let's do it. I'll put my.
Yeah, we're on Instagram. We're on LinkedIn at Rise Up For You, and then you can also follow me personally at Lena Nasruddin. And I run my own like personal account, so if you send me a message, it's not a bot. I'll respond to you.
Oh, you will? Wow, that's some personal touch right there. Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this one's so great. Thank you for the gift. This is super
welcome.
fun.
You're welcome.
And yeah, there you go. See you guys on another episode of CEO in Motion.
Bye.